Hello folks, this is Raj Sastri from Raj Option Trading. Today I want to quickly wrap up the week, the actions in Wall Street and take it from there. So from a trend perspective, Bitcoin stocks are trading higher. Some of the healthcare stocks are also making a comeback. And 3D printing stocks are up. Electric vehicle stocks and even the battery stocks are up. And the retail stocks are also up. And from a loser perspective, cloud and big data names, some of them are down. And healthcare diagnostics type companies, which came handy when COVID was rampant, they are trending down. And some of the semiconductor stocks are also down. And China stocks are also taking some breather. And this is a quick, summary. We'll dive into some more detail. From a high level, macro perspective, this is a 3 month chart, 1 day 3 month chart. S&P 500 has been steadily going up, this week, made a nice comeback. And Dow Jones also same story, made a comeback last week. And Nasdaq, it's one of the weaker sectors. It made some comeback, but not as much as S&P 500 and Dow Jones. Russell, which is small cap, it's clearly a winner. Russell 2000, so it's steadily going up, which is a good sign. And bonds cannot take a breather. They are coming down. As you can see here, they made they're coming down. That's why interest rates are going up, because bonds are coming down. And this is same story. This is again bond. It's coming down. And crude oil is pretty steady. They're kind of flattish, I would think. It's pretty steady. And gold is kind of flat. It's not doing much here. And dollar itself, dollar is pretty, it's down last 3 days in the week, and a little bit up on Friday. So I would say it's not doing great at this point, which is good for stocks and commodities, also like crude oil and other commodities. So with that, let's go into a little more details. Look at some of the big ETFs and see how they're doing. Clearly, like we talked about, stock indexes like S&P 500, Dow Jones, they're doing pretty well. And Nasdaq is a little bit weaker. It's the Nasdaq 100 is a little bit weaker. And Russell, which is IWM, Russell 2000 index, it's pretty strong. These small cap stocks are really having a good time. And TLT, which is a bond, it's coming down drastically. And that's why some of these interest rates are climbing up. Gold, it's flat, nothing much going on. Consumer staples, XLP, it's kind of inching up. They had a very bad week previous week. Last week they did pretty okay. And utilities are going up a little bit, which is a good sign for all the utilities that we know about. These are really, really good dividend-paying stocks. Technology is taking a little bit breather here. I think last week or a week before, they had a pretty down week. This week, they're trying to make a comeback, but not quite. Semiconductors is kind of coming down and kind of flat. Especially there is a semiconductor shortage, so that's causing issue with some of the semiconductor names. And XAR, which is in the defensive sectors, big defensive names like Lockheed Martin, Northrop, and these stocks, they're making a comeback, which is nice to see. Even Boeing, for that matter. And energy itself is making a comeback, all the big energy names, because there is a recovery in the sites, there is COVID vaccine, all these energy names are trying to make a comeback because more people will drive and more industries will open up. That's good for these energy stocks. XRT, which is retail stocks are really going up. That's a good story for all these smaller retail players. And one thing which I found out, in the XRT, we also have a GameStop, which is a huge short squeeze play. But we also have some of the brick and mortar companies also in here. they're making a comeback, especially with the COVID-19 vaccine. We have three big players: J&J and Pfizer and Moderna. I think we have a lot of vaccines, and there is a at least people who took the vaccine, they're feeling great, and they can't wait to go out. And IYR, which is real estate, that's making a nice comeback. They had a very bad, a couple of weeks. Now they're making a good comeback. XLF, which is financials, they're doing pretty okay. They're in a very nice uptrend here. And XLI, which is industrials, they're making a comeback here. Especially, there is a hope that the market and the economy can open up now with all these vaccines. Overall, the theme here is stocks are doing well, bonds are down. That's the overall theme here, and technology is a little bit weak. With that, let's go into some of the bigger trends. What we see from a bigger is a 5-year one-day chart here. S&P 500 itself, it's almost at a all-time high. So you got to watch out a little bit, even though there is a lot of optimism. S&P 500 itself is sitting at an all-time high, almost at an all-time high. So we got to be careful, to buy aggressively. I would say it's good to buy beaten down and pull stocks on a pullback versus all-time high. One thing I always notice is skew. Skew, you got to pay close attention to skew. If you can see here, when the skew was all-time high at 159, that was back in July. And after a while, S&P 500 crashed. This is a while ago, and same story here. About February time frame 2020, skew was almost high around 150 or so, and if you can see, S&P 500 crashed because of this whole COVID saga. So now skew is kind of trying to make comeback. If it crosses 145 or 150, I would better watch out. You should probably should not buy too many stocks. You could even buy some put options, or even buy VIX for that matter. So I'm watching this. I'm watching VIX. I want to make sure VIX as it heads up, if it crosses 145, I will be buying some put options and even VIX itself. So to make sure you also look at some of these strategies to make sure downturn does not impact you severely. And VIX itself is pretty flat to down. As S&P 500 heads up, VIX kind of heads down. That's the normal trajectory. So as VIX goes down, you could even buy a little bit longer term 90-day out or 100-day out VIX option, just to hedge yourself. If market comes down, you'll be happy that you bought some of these VIX options. So with that, let's jump into a little more details and see some of the trends from a big level, high level trend perspective. So this talks about the bond itself. As you know, bond, which is 30-year treasury, it's falling down. That's really helping stock market. And because bond is falling down, interest rates, this is TNX 10-year treasury, interest rates are going up. So you got to watch out as interest rates goes up, because our Fed might think there is a inflation. They might raise the rates a little bit. So you got to watch out a little bit. Next we got DXY, which is dollar. So dollar itself is kind of flat at this point, to down a little bit. So this is helping all the multinational companies and even commodities for that matter. A weaker dollar typically helps all the folks who are exporting the goods to outside. So that's the major trend from a macro perspective. And now let's jump into ETF winners. Who are some of the big exchange trade funds, and who are the winners here? The reason I bring this up is really that will give us a good trend and see what's going up. So the way this chart is organized, we got the highly performing ETF, and it's organized by descending order of weekly performance. As an example, Amplify. This is all Bitcoin and the blockchain type stocks. That's going up on a weekly basis. They're up 17%. That's the highest performance, and from there onwards, it's a descending order. So, like we talked about, Bitcoin itself is doing well. They're at a 17% high. On a yearly basis, they're at 302%. That's a huge improvement or a performance from a yearly perspective. Next, we have retailers, like we talked about, with all the recovery and the opening and the vaccine. The retailers are doing well, and this also includes GameStop, like we talked about, which is a short squeeze type play. And they also got a new board member who used to be in Chewy's, so that's a good news there too in a good GameStop perspective. Clean energy is another good ETF. I think clean energy is trending up. Then we got MJ. This is cannabis play. Cannabis is also trending pretty well. A lot of volume, which is doing well. Clean energy, we talked about solar is doing well, and mining and metals, they're doing well too. And some of the innovation, which is Kathy Wood, her ETF is doing well. Small cap names are doing very well. So we will, go into ETF losers now. You get a good idea. You can also, look at some of these ETFs and see what stocks they're carrying. You will get a good idea. So that will give you some idea. When these stocks are down a little bit or pull back a little bit, you could buy some and keep it. So with that, let's go into ETF losers. Clearly, this is not a surprise. Treasuries, the bonds are the losers at this point. All the bond names are, you can see here, they're all down. And China itself, the large cap China ETF, that's also down a little bit, not too much, down a little bit for the week, and they're also down for the month, and they're up for the quarter and a year. So in a nutshell, the treasuries and the bonds are down, and large cap China is doing a little bit down. So with that, let's go into the winners and losers. From a stock perspective, this is basically overall winners and losers. Typically, these overall winners and losers are skewed towards a little bit smaller cap type plays because they seem to go up a lot or go down a lot because they're a little bit smaller type, a little more volatile. So overall winner and loser perspective, I will not go through this in detail. You can just look through it. There is a Israeli company, Entera Bio, I think that's doing well, and even Eyesight, Second Sight. This is a play into helping with the blindness. That's doing very well. Even up here, it's a good time to really buy some of these stocks because they're a low price. They're doing a right thing. I think it's a good time to buy some of these names, maybe a little bit, and take it from there. And from a loser perspective, we got Graybug Vision, ACADIA, Pharmaceuticals. I think these guys had a quarterly earnings or something. They came down so drastically. It's okay to buy some of these names into weakness. We will also go into a little more details on them. Other one is Sumo Logic. It's again software play, came down a lot. Stitch Fix, I would not, probably I'll wait on this a little bit. They had a huge short squeeze type play. Stock ran up so much and now they're coming down after the earnings. Now let's go into a little more details and look at overall winners and losers, and take it from there. This is a overall winners and losers. The way this is organized is this chart is organized by weekly performance. The stocks you see at the top are performing really well on a weekly basis, astounding 389% in a week's time. So even up here, Entera Bio and Second Sight, they're still good. They're doing really well. I would probably buy some into weakness and keep it for long haul. And the blockchain stock, the Riot blockchain, it's also doing very well. I would buy this into weakness. This stock always pulls back a little bit. I would buy it into weakness and stay same story. Stocks like Canon, which is again the hardware play into Bitcoin mining, you could buy it on a pullback. And same in INVO Bioscience, I think it's a very low price stock. Went up 54% on a weekly basis. You could nibble some and take it for a long haul. And then we got the 9 Limited. These guys are into the gaming, electronic gaming market. It's again, $60 stock. Seems to be doing pretty well. I would nibble a little bit. And last but not least is the Sunworks. It's a solar play, $15 stock. Went up 49%. They're still down from a yearly perspective, 46% down. You could nibble a little bit low price stock. So with that, these are the weekly winners. Now we'll go into weekly losers, overall weekly losers. From an overall weekly losers perspective, this is a big, huge list here, 25 stocks. Same story here, organized by the most loser, which is Gray Bug Vision, 47% weekly loss, and it's in a order of it'll be less and less and less from that point onwards. Acadia Pharmaceuticals, $27. I think it could be good to nibble at this point. Low, it's a I think it's a good play here. Then we got Sumo Logic, again a software play. It could be good to nibble a little bit and keep it. Cloudera, it's again on the cloud side of the house. It's $12 stock. Good to nibble a little bit. And Celsius Holding, they're into non-alcoholic beverages and pretty famous. With the market and the economy opening up, this could be good play. So that's the overall summary from an overall loser perspective. Now we'll go market cap by market cap. Let's look at small cap type stocks, see what did well and what who are the winners and losers. From a small cap perspective, these are the overall winners. This is also organized by weekly performance. The one at the top had done really well. Some of these stocks like Amethyst, eBank, these are little smaller price stocks. I would buy on any weakness and keep it. And same story we talked about the 9 Limited, Sunworks, even Renesola as example. Some of these stocks is good to buy, on a weakness and keep it. And even Clean Spark, it's again a good stock. So I would buy some of these stocks on a little bit pullback and keep it for long haul. Next is small cap weekly losers. This is the list of all small cap weekly losers. And these are there are some of these names are really good ones. Again, they have huge weekly losses, 27%, 19%, whatnot. But if you look at a 52-week high, many of these are still losers on a 52-week basis. That's why for these stocks I would really be choosy. I'll be a little bit choosy. Look at the gross margin itself and make sure there is a good gross margin. I'll also make sure the price to sales ratio, which is again a good ratio to look at, especially these small caps name, because these small caps names typically they don't have a good PE ratio. It's sometimes it's not applicable or too high. That's why good to look at price to sales ratio if you want to nibble some of these names. Next, we'll look at the mid-cap winners. No surprise here. We got blockchain, which is winning. Even EHang Holdings. These guys are into flying, aviation, drones, and even the defense for that matter, based in China. They came down so much after a report from a short, a short seller. I think it's good. It's trying to make its way up now, trying to make a comeback. Same story with Canon and Riot blockchain. On a weakness, I would buy these two. And Nano Dimension, these guys are into integrated circuit board and some of these chips and semiconductors. I think it's a good stock, Israeli based. We got a lot of Israeli based stocks which are really doing well. And 360 Digitech, they're into finance. It could be good play. Then we got Microvision, Marathon, again Bitcoin play, Desktop Metal, 3D printing, Silvergate Capital. It's a little bit stabler play when it comes to Bitcoin. These guys are really a bank. This bank also has Bitcoins. Jumia is again a good play on the Africa. These guys are really Germany-based company, but they have e-commerce and payment technologies to help, especially South Africa. And then we got Materialize again. It's a company based, 3D printing company. I think they're also doing pretty well. I would nibble these names on the weakness and go from there. Next, we look at mid cap losers. So, no stranger. I think we looked at these names already: ACADIA, Cloudera, Celsius. I also like company like Itron. They are into basically electric measurements and remote meter reading and whatnot. They're also a good company. So I would nibble some of these names and go from there. Now we look at the large cap weekly winners. These are the bigger companies. So I would, the same way it's organized by weekly performance. Highest performing stocks are at the top. I like, many of these stocks actually. I like a quantum scape when it comes to EV battery. I would, buy on any weakness. I also like the NIO Sunrun, Solar Edge, Cloudflare, Marvell, and even companies like Plug Power. It's also doing very well. And we got our Penn National and DraftKings. I would buy these also on a weakness. Next, we'll look at large cap weekly losers. Um, Auto Home, they had I think earnings call. They are down big time. I would just nibble on the weakness and not buy too much, but at least nibble and open a position here. And then we got companies like Bilibili, StoneCo. StoneCo is a good company. I think after the earnings, this company kind of pulled back really hard. I would initiate a position here and hold at the position if you already have it. It's a good company, a fintech. And then you got software companies like Elastic. I think that's a good company, pulled back pretty hard, especially did so well last year. It's giving some of those benefits back. Good RX, this stock, it did very well in the beginning, but now it's coming down a little bit. I think it may be stabilizing. I would initiate, at least have a small position at this point and take it from there. Ulta Beauty, I think they had earnings, and after the earnings they came down. This company should do well, as a part of the recovery. These guys are also, I think they're working with Target to open Ulta Beauty within Target itself, store inside store concept. I think these guys will do well. It's a temporary weakness, I would think. And then we got companies like Snowflake, which is a good company, but as you can see here, huge price to sales multiple. It's an expensive stock. Still, I would buy it on a weakness like we have here. Oracle Corporation. I think Oracle, after the earnings, they pulled back. I would probably buy a little bit at this point. These guys always come back a little bit. It's a slow and steady name, and they're trying to make their headway into the data center. Working with the companies, with the companies. I think the stock will do very well. It's a little bit slower growth, but slow and steady type company. Now let's look at mega cap type names. From a mega cap perspective, Tesla finally started catching some breather here. It did 16%, but still nowhere near all-time high. 6% down from all 52-week high. I would buy this on a weakness. I would not touch at the higher price, but it gave a very good opportunity to buy 2 weeks ago. So I would buy it on a weakness. And Home Depot, after going down after the earnings, it's making a nice comeback. And I would buy in a companies like Nvidia, which is still 13% down from all-time high, and Amazon. I would also buy Amazon. It's a good company. It's off late. It's making a little bit. It's a little bit down off late. It's a good company. And ASML and Microsoft. Microsoft with their huge news around the email issues. I think it's kind of taking a breather. But on a weekly basis, it's still up. I would buy this also on a weakness. Now let's turn into mega cap losers. From a mega cap loser perspective, we got Taiwan Semi, Alibaba. I would buy these on any weakness. And then we got Apple. Apple is kind of a little bit weaker off late. I would buy it on any weakness. And Adobe, good company. Little bit it's up 0.79%, but I would buy it on any pullback. Same story with the Facebook. So these are the good mega cap companies. We could buy this on weakness. Next, let's look at a summary. We looked at, we started with the macro vision. Then we started looking at, small cap, mid cap, large cap, mega cap. Now let's quickly summarize. From a summary perspective, I like some of these stocks here. From a small cap perspective, we got Entera, Second Sight, really doing very well. Then we got blockchain stocks like Riot Blockchain, which is also doing very well. Then some of the INVO Bioscience, the Limited, they also seem to be doing very well. So this is a summary. I would really nibble on these stocks. As you can see here, we got some stocks which have performed really well on a weekly basis. I would wait for a pullback, and we got some stocks which have pulled back so hard on a weekly basis, like ACADIA, Sumo. I would be comfortable adding to the position at this point. And same story, we got stocks which have gone up so much. Some of these Bitcoin names and 3D printing names, I would buy them in a pullback. And then we got StoneCo. StoneCo is again a good company, already pulled back. I would buy at this point. And same story with the Elastic. So with that, this is a quick summary for you. I wish you success in your investing. Thank you very much. Happy investing.